YouTube land, Carnotaurus here doing another action figure review, and today we are having a look at the Jurassic World Legacy Collection Reimagined. Now what the Reimagined line is, it's basically kind of a continuation of the Jurassic Park 93 line and kind of an amalgamation of the Legacy Collection, where they had the classic Jurassic Park characters like the original Jurassic Park, Malcolm, Grant, Hammond, etc., all those characters and their dinosaur kind of counterparts. This is another nod to the old vintage line. In fact, it is a nod to the Series 2 vintage line of the original Kenner Jurassic Park line. Now, there's only two sets in this kind of wave, I suppose you could call it. It's not really a wave because they're kind of really far in quite different sets, but there is this Carnotaurus set. Now unfortunately it's the real feel Carnotaurus. I got this through Target's website and I had to get it shipped from the States to myself, so it took a while for it to get here, and I managed to pick it up while it was on sale. It was actually on kind of, I wouldn't say clearance, but it was on reduction. The normal price I think is about $50. I picked it up for $27, so I'm not sure if it's still that price at the time of this recording. It was when it was kind of part of their, not Black Friday sales, but it was kind of like January sales, I suppose. There was some sort of sale going on and they had it reduced, so I managed to grab it. It's one I've been kind of excited for. I've seen other people review this one, and I've seen people posting pictures of it, and I really love the design. It is a classic Carnotaur. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move him out of the way of the review at the moment, and I'm going to have a quick look at the box. So the box has, actually, before I move the box, you see an image in the background is of, I'm hoping I'm getting the right one, because it's Isla Sorna and Isla Nublar, and I believe this is Sorna. Am I right? Or is this Nublar? I think this is Nublar. This is the original Jurassic Park island, the one from Jurassic World that the volcano erupts on. This is Site A, and Site B is the one where the Lost World takes place. And if I just flip around the back of the box, you can see real feel. Let me just move my light a bit off, so there isn't a shine. So you have the Dino app, the scan to unlock Dino Jurassic World play app. You have a real feel skin kind of texturing going on. It is interesting to note that the prototype image of the dinosaur has the neck kind of really kind of far. It's not as raised up high on the finished product as it is on the prototype. The prototype has a more kind of elongated, I suppose, positioning of the head. I'll show this off in a minute. And then on the back, if I just move it over here, you can see other figures in the set. So there is this, I think it's called the copter, the attack copter or something along those lines. Again, this is a nod to, it's kind of a mishmash, because it not only is it a nod to the original Kenner line, it includes characteristics of the newer films. So you have a Triceratops instead of a Velociraptor for the kind of packing dinosaur, and then for the kind of human component, I suppose you could call it, the human character figure, you don't get one of those at this set, but for the human character for that set is a ACU, which is Animal Control Unit, which is something that was introduced in the Jurassic World line. But the design of the helicopter, now not the actual physical design, but the paint apps of the helicopter is designed off one of the vehicles from the original Kenner line, and I think it was part of the Series 1 line, and it was because you had, for the original Kenner line, you had the Devil Bush Tracker Jeep, which was the classic Jurassic Park kind of Jeep Wrangler looking Jeep. You had the Ford Explorer, so you had, I can't remember, it was like the Jungle Explorer Jeep, or Jungle Explorer it was called. And then you had the command compound, which was based on the kind of the command center from the movie. And then you had kind of like a couple of made-up vehicles. In fact, I think the only made-up vehicle was that copter. It wasn't based on anything kind of from the movie. They kind of chucked it in. I don't know if it was a reuse of something from one of the other Kenner lines. They had a tendency of grabbing stuff from other lines or pushing them into other lines. So, for example, like some of the Batman vehicles from their Kenner line got turned into stuff from other lines. So it's kind of hit and miss of what they got. And here it is, folks. This is the Carnotaurus out of the box, and we will take the tape measure and have a look at it from snout to tail. So from snout to tail, it's about 16 inches, and from the highest point, which I would assume is the tip of the horns, it comes up to around 7 inches. So it is a tall enough dinosaur for what it is. So it is articulated, and there is a not action feature, but there is electronic features. So if you press here on the hip, you get a roaring sound. I believe there's only 2 or 3 different types. There is a couple of different styles of roar on this thing. It is pretty cool. There is an opening hatch here on the side of its the upper thigh, and that is for the app, the scan app or DNA app. It used to be the Dino DNA thing. It is interesting that it does have signs of kind of dino damage on it, and we'll get into that in a second. But for the most part, it is a fairly, I wouldn't say static, it is posable, because the arms, the little teeny tiny arms at the front here, are on a hinge, so they can splay out to the side and can move forward and can do a 360. The feet are on ratchet joints, so they will lock into a positional point. There is a swivel just here. I think this is more for how the assembly goes for these, more than an actual dedicated articulation point, but there is a swivel just above the kind of knee cut. It does look awkward in certain respects, so like it doesn't look natural, but it is there. I think it's also one thing to note as well. You can kind of see it on this one. So on the foot on mine, when I took it out of the box, this whole plate came off. It's just kind of pegged into place. It doesn't seem to be glued. There isn't anything on the tail as far as I can tell. It doesn't seem to be a bendy wire. It's kind of fixed posed. And there isn't a jaw articulation. A lot of times they kind of do the whole, press button for the jaw, or pull something on the tail and the jaws reach down and bite. This doesn't have it. You can kind of do it manually because it's a soft squishy. It has the real dino feel skin from the tip of the head to the back of the where the tail connects on. So you do have that. But for the most part, it is a kind of solid-ish kind of sculpting for this guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a comparison for a modern Carnotaur. Now this is the Hammond collection one, so I'm going to try and get it into a similar position as the new one. I just have them out open touch, so you can see the scaling. So if I just bring in the Hammond collection version, I don't have one of my other ones to hand, unfortunately. Let's see, you get Hammond one to stand up. It can be a bit tricky. You just have to get into that sweet spot. Now, unfortunately, you can't see the new one even behind this. I'm going to move them around and have the newer one poke its way out from the back. So you get that one to stand. Come on. Oh. Excuse me. So you can kind of see how the Hammond one stacks up to this. Obviously, the Hammond one has the kind of glass eye effect thing that's going on with the newer Hammond collection stuff. There was this painted eye, but you can see the kind of general scaling. It is around the same kind of similar scale to the Hammond collection. In fact, it's similar to the kind of previous action or articulated action version of the Carnotaurus, which again, unfortunately, I do not have one to hand, but the one that has like the press button on it that does a kind of a jaw snap effect. So it is that. And the main reason I really love this color scheme for this particular Carnotaurus is because it is, as I said, a homage. At least I believe I said it was a homage. Homage. It is a homage to this guy. And if you're not familiar with this guy, let me adjust my camera slightly so you can have a good look at him. This is the Kenner Jurassic Park Series 2 Demon Carnotaurus. And I do have mine complete. This is one of the first dinosaurs series, I suppose, not dinosaurs specifically, to come with capture gear. The original Jurassic Park Kenner line didn't have capture gear for the first wave. And then when they brought out Series 2, they introduced the idea of capture gear, and that kind of kept going throughout the entire series. Now, you can see the red. I think the red on mine is kind of faded a bit, because it's not as, the red on the new one is way more vibrant. This is kind of more kind of pinky. This is also one of those ones that have the dino damage section. So on the old Kenner dinosaurs, they had one, on the larger ones, not on the smaller ones, on the larger ones, they had a section that would break away, and it was to represent dino damage. So if you had like the Triceratops attacking it, it would knock the dino damage piece off. Let me see if I can get that back in a bit better. This guy, there, here we go. Come on, get in. It's quite old, so it's a bit squishy. This has the real feel dino skin thing that they did with that line back in the day. You also have the leg ankle capture gear, and you had these Jurassic Park tags that were on these guys, and you can see this is JP19, and this one has articulation. Obviously it's not scientifically accurate considering the size of the hands, the forearms on this guy, but you can see the color system or color scheme is pretty much how this one looks. You have like the green eye, which you have on this, the red kind of almost camouflaging scaling feature for the whole dinosaur, the cream for the teeth. You even have the gray for the toes. It's a slightly more off gray on the original, but you still have the painted toes on this. They didn't do the claws on the hands because they're so tiny, but like even the clawed hands on this is inaccurate, because in the current spectrum of this particular dinosaur, the idea is that the hands, it's easier to see it on this one because it's a bit more chunky. You can see the hands are actually 4-fingered hands as opposed to 3-fingered hands like the Kenner one. So there is stuff. Obviously it is a, when did this come out? 93 was the original line. I think probably 94. So it is a nearly 30 plus year old sculpture of a dinosaur. So it is going to be factually inaccurate from current iterations. But again, this is my one from childhood. I got this when it was brand new. Obviously you can see it's fairly old and needs a good wash and clean up, but the idea with this one is the capture gear will go on it. You can't mix and match the capture gear, unfortunately, but it is a really cool dinosaur. I do recommend getting this one over the older one, only because the older one goes for a ridiculous amount of money these days. If you have it mint in box, which is a rarity as enough as it is, you're looking at nearly a 3-figure sum for the thing in mint in box. So it is that rare. But for another size comparison, because this is a 1/18 or 1/35 or 3.75 inch scale figure line, we will bring in good old Ian Malcolm here. I'm going to drop my camera back down again so you can see how this thing stacks up towards kind of more human characters. In fact, I have the Frank Walsh, is it? I think his name is, character, which is one of the Eagle Force Returns kind of figures. They're in that kind of scale. And then for another size comparison, we have a Cobra Trooper from the retro line. And we'll just bring a couple more figures in that I can. Just because I have them off to the side here. we'll bring in one of the Joy Toy maintenance crew figures. So you can see how she scales up, and we have an old school Indiana Jones figure from the, well, I don't think it's the Crystal Skull line as per se. I think it's from the Crystal Skull line era, but I think it's one of, I think it's the Raider, or not Raiders, it's Last Crusade Indy, I believe, because he has the satchel. It could, and I think he has the tie. I think he had the tie in Last Crusade, where he didn't have that in one of the other ones. And then just for a one last comparison, I'll bring in a where's Spin Masters Batman. This is the Patterson Batman. So you can just see a kind of scale lineup of how this creature looks to these figures. They should be in scale, and well, in theory they should be in scale, depending on popular lineup of, you know, skeletal structures of dinosaurs. They could be out of scale by these days, but it is supposed to be a 1/18 scale figure, so, or in scale to 1/18 scale figures, so this should be in scale as it is. So there you go, guys. I'm going to wrap this up here, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video for the Carnotaurus. It is a really cool dinosaur. It is a Target exclusive over in the States, as far as I'm aware. I don't think it's available anywhere else. So if you are trying to track one down, you may have to go the whole Target exclusive route. I know Smiths in Europe have brought in some of the exclusives and some of the 93 stuff. So it is hit or miss whether or not they will actually bother to actually bring in some of these. Usually they bring them out months after they're available in the States, but hopefully they might, because they seem to have a sort of, they have an exclusive deal on some of the Jurassic Park stuff. It may just be a case of having to try and get one from the States, which is a bit of a bummer because the costs then go up with everything that's being imported in. So you have to pay import fees, shipping fees, all that kind of lovely stuff. But if you are a die-hard fan of the Jurassic Park line, or even just the old Kenner line, it is a great homage to the original demon Carnotaurus. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and please hit the subscription button to give me more subscriptions, and hit the like button, and drop a comment in the comment section below, and share with friends and all that jazz. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy your day, and have a good one.